Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice for radio, so today I'm bringing you round 2 from the Sutton Coldfield League Challenge. Remember what I said in the previous video, guys? This is post-rotation. This is the new standard format for the 2016-2017 season. This is your first opportunity to really see these decks in action, and you need to take advantage of that. Use this to see what's good and what people are playing. As far as I'm concerned, this is your first chance to have a go at this. Post-rotation, Steam Siege. It is on. We are playing single game here. On the left, we have Joe Bernard. He is going to be playing Rainbow Road. He won his first game, so he's 1-0. On the right, we have Reese Williams. He is going to be playing Quad Darkrai. He won his first game. He is 1-0. Both of these players played at the World Championships just a few weeks ago. So we've got 2 exceptional players here, both of whom had their Worlds invite, both of whom played at Worlds. Very experienced, very, very good players here. So we should see a good game with excellent people. Or at least so goes the hope. Now, Joe is going to be playing Rainbow Road. He goes first. It's going to be using that Xerneas. The one I made a video about this. Does a whole bunch of damage just as long as you've got different types of Pokemon on the bench. Now, he starts off with a Kingdra there, which is probably not his preferred starter, shall we say. Now, he does get a Float Stone on the Kingdra, which is nice, but it's not... Oh, and that's a fairly rough Professor Sycamore. Loses a double colorless, which he is going to need for Xerneas. Now, he does have a single energy attack, Big Storm, 20 damage, discard any stadium in play. It's not spectacular, but in a push, it will do. Now, Reese, you can see he's got that Breakpoint Darkrai, and Breakpoint Darkrai really relies on smashing with Dark Pulse. 20 damage plus 20 for each Dark Energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So you can really spread your Dark Energy around your bench, smash with Darkrai EX, try and one-hit KO anything, and even if Darkrai gets KO'd and goes down, well, that's alright, because you're still in a position where, you know, you're not losing all your energy. You've still got your energy attached to the bench. And that's a bonus you don't get in every deck. Usually your attacker goes down, you lose your energy. Now, Joe here gets a nice start. He's got... Oh, he misses the Max Elixir. So he looked at the top 6 cards of his deck, but there was no basic energy there to attach to his benched basic Pokemon. We can see he's got a Joltik there. That's going to evolve into Galvantula. That is both grass and lightning type. We can see he's got an Umbreon there who's a dark type, and a Shaman who is a colorless type. He plays a second Max Elixir. Is he going to hit? Oh, that's bad. He plays 2 Max Elixir. He misses 2 Max Elixir. Now, this is a problem. With Max Elixir, you want to be playing about 12 basic energy. If you play 12 basic energy, you'll hit Max Elixir about 3/4 of the time. But in Rainbow Road, you need to play the double colorless energy in order to use a Xerneas, which means that you're probably only playing 7 or 8 basic energy. So you will miss Max Elixirs, and we saw Joe miss 2 there. Gets an energy on the Umbreon, but even Umbreon is not great. You know, Umbreon's got the attack end game, 70 damage, but if you knock out an EX, you take 2 extra prizes. But Umbreon is very much a card you play to finish off EX Pokemon. It's not a card that you play as a utility attacker, because generally you kind of... You've got enough. You know, there are other better dark attackers, but Umbreon's really good. If you can KO a Mega Pokemon, you get 4 prizes, and that's ludicrous. So we see Reese there playing an Ultra Ball, discarding 2 Dark Energy. They're in his discard pile. I was going to say, I imagine he's looking for a baby Yveltal here, because Yveltal has got the attack, Oblivion Wing, 20 damage, and you get to attach a Dark Energy from your discard to one of your benched Pokemon. And of course, you need Dark Energy in the discard in order to do that, so you need to get it in there with... well, any way possible, to be honest. But certainly using an Ultra Ball to get rid of them is It's a pretty good tactic. Now we see Reese making notes there. For newer players, you can make notes in the Pokemon trading card game, but you're not allowed to kind of unfairly slow the game down. You've got to make them in an efficient manner. Very careful player is Reese. So it's not, it's not unusual to see him making notes. I should also, while we got a second, give a big shout out to Ben Rollison here. He was the lovely chap that recorded these games for me, sent me the games, he gave me a list of the players, their record going into the game, what deck they were playing. I cannot thank that lovely man enough for doing this. I couldn't make the Sutton Coldfield League challenge, but now I get to watch 5 games from it, and now so do you. Oh, I love this. Wonderful. That was really, really cool. He just uses that Lysander and brings up the Joltik and gets the KO while attaching a Dark Energy to the bench. It does 30 damage. I think I might have said it did 20 a second ago. I may have been thinking of the Volcanion, which does 20 and attaches 2 from the discard to 2 different bench Pokemon. 30 damage and attaching energy. So he plays that Lysander, gets the KO on the Joltik, and takes a prize while attaching an energy. And of course, if Joe wants to be attacking with a Rainbow Road Xerneas, that Joltik was going to evolve into a Galvantula that was 2 different types. So by taking out the Joltik, not only has he taken a prize, but he's basically taken 60 damage off the board from Joe. Xerneas does 10 damage plus 30 more for each different type of Pokemon on the bench. You get a dual type like Galvantula, 2 different types, 60 damage. Sounds pretty good. So now we see Umbreon there just doing 20 damage, would have and then you get to discard as many cards as you like from your hand and draw that many cards. It's an awkward card because on the one hand, it allows you to draw extra cards. And if you don't have very much, that's quite good. We're going to see a Shaman here from Reese. If you ever see someone Ultra Ball the final 2 cards in their hand to leave them with a 0-card hand, they're going to search for a Shaman, use that setup ability to draw 6 cards. But the thing about Umbreon's Veil of Darkness is that you've got to discard the cards, and you rarely, if you've made a good deck, you don't want to discard that many cards. Unless you're playing something like a Vespiquen deck where your attack is fueled by the number of Pokemon in the discard pile. So, it's an awkward attack, but sometimes it can help you get out of a bind, I suppose. Now we see a Max Elixir come down from Reese. We see and he whiffs his! We've already seen Joe whiff 2 Max Elixirs. We've seen Reese discard 2 Max Elixirs with an Ultra Ball and then whiff 1. So between both the players here, we have seen 5 Max Elixirs hit the discard pile. And not a single energy has been attached. This is Reese's final Max Elixir and he whiffs it. That means 0 extra energy for Reese. And this speed Darkrai deck is exactly what it says on the tin. It revolves around getting as much energy on the field as you can, as early as you can, so that you can be smashing with Dark Pulse. That's the entire point of the deck. But if you end up in a situation where you're missing your Max Elixirs, then you've just got your ordinary, everyday attachments, and that's not doing enough. Although you do have Oblivion Wing, I suppose. Now, he stuck the Darkrai in the active, so you've got to think he's going to put a second energy on the Darkrai here. Oh, no, okay. Now he's playing the Sycamore. Now, the Darkrai's got a Float Stone attached, so he can just retreat straight away to the Yveltal. Now, he's only doing 80 damage with Darkrai. 60 for the free energy plus 20 for the base damage. And he's doing 40 with Yveltal and attaching an energy to the bench. So, is it worth leaving that EX up there for the extra 40 damage? I mean, to be fair, it doesn't look like Joe is threatening a KO, but we know he plays Max Elixir. So if he goes Xerneas, Max Elixir, double colorless, few more types of Pokemon, then there is an opportunity here for Joe to get the KO on the Darkrai. It's unlikely, but it is possible to get the KO on the Darkrai. He would need 6 different types of Pokemon on the bench. He would need 3 more types of Pokemon, because he's got Dark Dragon and Colorless at the moment, assuming a Xerneas goes in the active. So if Joe gets a Xerneas, hits a Max Elixir, attaches a double colorless energy, and gets 3 different types of Pokemon on the bench, then he would be able to do Rainbow Force for 190 and get the KO on the Darkrai. It's unlikely, but if I was Reese here, I would give up the 40 damage, take the extra energy attachment from Oblivion Wing, because we know he's got an energy in the discard pile, and not risk having an EX KO'd. Yeah, and he's going along with that. I don't think it's worth the risk. I think in a situation like this, playing it safe is the way to go. Oh, and then we see a Reverse Valley come down, which allows, well, it's one of those stadiums that's double-sided, but Reese is playing the side whereby dark Pokemon do 10 more damage. Now we see a Volcanion EX coming down from Joe, the only basic dual-type Pokemon we have at the moment. It is both fire and water, and that just means that Joe gets an extra 2 types. There comes an Ultra Ball. It's got to be a Shaman or a Xerneas. He's going Xerneas here, which must mean he's got a supporter in his hand. If he didn't have a supporter in his hand, he wouldn't be able to go for the Xerneas here. He'd have to go for a Shaman to try and draw something, because as it is, that Umbreon's going to give up 2 prizes, and Joe's not, at the moment, in a position to do smashing. Seeing the single energy here means that we're not seeing Oh, that's not strictly true. So we see an N coming down from Joe here. I believe Joe's played 2 Max Elixir. So if he hits both the Max Elixir, and he hits them, so if he draws into them and gets an energy from them, and now then he'll be able to get the KO here. Sorry, that'll be all he needs for the KO. But I'm not sure he wants to KO that Yveltal, because then his attacker is getting KO'd here. But then again, if he leaves it on the bench, maybe Reese just plays a Lysander and gets the KO anyway. I mean, he's already up to 100 damage with that Darkrai. And Xerneas has only got 120 HP. So 1 more energy anywhere on the field from Reese. Sorry, that's a lie. Xerneas has Darkness Resistance. 2 more energy from Reese will be needed to KO the Xerneas. And that Dark Resistance could be crucial for Joe in this matchup, because it just forces Reese to always have 1 extra energy on the field to try and get the KO on that Xerneas. Now, we do see an EXP share coming down from Joe. I really, and I've said this on a bunch of my videos lately, I am a huge fan of EXP share, because if your active Pokemon gets knocked out, then you get to take an energy from him and pop it onto your bench Pokemon with EXP share attached. And that's just a nice way, because with Xerneas, you really need a Fairy Energy and a double colourless. So EXP share essentially allows you to take the energy and then just attach a double colourless and off you go. It allows you to stream these Xerneas far more effectively. It means if you draw into your double colourless, you will be ready to roll. Now, here we do have 120 damage coming down from Reese, which should be enough to finish off that 170 HP Umbreon. And that's what's awesome about Oblivion Wing. Because it's not just that you get an extra energy on the field every time you use it, although you do. It's the fact that you get an extra 20 damage every time you use it. So we said last turn that, Reese was going to need 2 more energy to get a KO on a Xerneas. Well, that's alright, because Oblivion Wing gets 1 energy, and then he can just manually attach the second. Especially in a game where you've discarded 2 Max Elixir and whiffed on the other 2, you need to be getting energy into play, and Oblivion Wing on that baby Yveltal, hey Nick, really allows you to do that in just an efficient manner. So we do get the KO on the Umbreon here, and now it's up to Joe. This is the turn for Joe, really. It's not the end of the world. EXP share comes in. And just as a quick ruling note here, it's not an, I forgot to use the EXP share, and your opponent can go, you can't use it now. I believe EXP share happened. No, I'm lying to you. It is an optional thing. So if you don't do it quickly enough, your opponent can call you on it. Whereas something like Oblivion Wing happens, you have no choice about Oblivion Wing. You have to attach an energy if there's one in the discard, which can sometimes be annoying when you've got to attach an energy to something on the bench you don't really want to. So now we see an Ultra Ball coming down to get a second Xerneas, and oh my goodness, Joe would love an EXP share right here. Because he can attach an energy from his hand to the Xerneas with 2 energy. Again, an EXP share on that Xerneas, there he goes. And then next turn, all he would need is a double colourless, and you think he's got that in hand, and he's ready to go. So he's got the Sky Field down. Joe needs to get the KO on Darkrai. He needs 6 different types. He's got 5 at the moment. No, he doesn't. I'm lying to you. He's got 6. He's got 5 Pokemon, all of different types, but Volcanion is fire and water. No, it's not. Sorry, there's 2 Shaman. There's the Jirachi for the metal. Now he's got the KO. Stupid maths. Now he's got 6 different types of Pokemon. Now he can use Rainbow Force for 190 and the KO. I said that was the turn for Joe. He's evened up the prize trade. That was a brilliant turn from Joe. We see that Rainbow Road is sometimes a slower deck, but it doesn't really matter when you can go ahead and do that. And what I love about Joe's play here, he's got the EXP share on the bench to Xerneas. So all he's going to need next turn is a double colourless energy to get the return KO. And now Reese needs to be worried, because Joe is setting himself up to stream EX KOs, and Reese only has 3 energy on the bench. And even when he's got enough energy, Reese has 2 choices. Take out the effectively 140 HP Xerneas with the resistance for a single prize, and then just be taking 1 prize a turn, or take out an EX Pokemon on the bench. But the thing is, if you take out an EX Pokemon on the bench, you're not taking out the Xerneas, and that's an issue. Now, we do see the Fighting Fury bout on Darkrai there. That means that Joe will need 7 different types of Pokemon on the bench. 7 times 30 is 210. Add 10 for the base damage is 220. And Darkrai with his 180 base HP plus the 40 for the EXP share has 220. So it will add up quite nicely. Now, we do see a Ninja Boy coming down from Reese here. That's the new supporter card that allows you to switch one of your basics in play with another basic. And he uses that Ninja Boy to switch his Shaman on the bench, weak Pokemon just dying to give up 2 prizes, and an energy attached that you don't need, with a Darkrai, much beefier, your preferred attacker, and has an energy attached. Oh, and this is a mean Parallel City coming down from Reese here. I like this play. He drops the Parallel City, forces Joe to go ahead and discard 3 of his bench Pokemon. Now, Joe does get rid of his 2 Shaman, which means that he's not leaving them there for 2 prizes, which is nice. But he doesn't here. He doesn't get rid of what Joe really needs. He needs a Volcanion. He needs a Xerneas. Joe keeps both of those. Now, we did see a Oblivion Wing just for 20. 30 plus 10 for the Fighting Fury, about minus 20 for the resistance, leaves him at 20. And he's just rebuilding his board here. This isn't a turn where Reese is trying to win the game. He's not winning the game this turn. This is a turn. Oh, we see a Ninja Boy here from Joe. It's a Ninja Boy party. And he drops a Joltik. And does he have a Galvantula in hand? Nice little ruling point here. And he does. Because the Kingdra had been down for a turn, you Ninja Boy the Kingdra into a Joltik, and it is as if the Joltik has been down for a turn, and there go, you are ready to evolve straight away. Now, we did see Joe playing a Max Elixir there and whiffing again, so that means Joe has 1 Max Elixir left. Neither player is actually hit a Max Elixir yet this turn. Now, that's enough for the KO here. He's doing 160, and with the tiny bit of damage already on there, that will get the KO. And that's a lot for 3 bench Pokemon. But he's got 2 dual types, plus the Xerneas, that's 50. 5 bench Pokemon. Times the 30 damage is 150, add the 10 base is 160. So we see both players here on 3 prizes remaining. Joe's knocked out an Yveltal and a Darkrai EX, and Reese has knocked out that Joltik turn 1 and the Umbreon EX. And Joe's taken the better prizes here, the better knockouts, because Joe has been knocking out things that Reese has been using to attack. Reese knocked out the Umbreon, which Joe didn't really need. I mean, it gave up 2 prizes, but it wasn't going to win Joe the game here. Single type, and with an attack that is not going to be useful in a game against non-Megas. And then, okay, to be fair, that Joltik was quite nice, but then Joe got the Galvantula out anyway. And once you've got the Galvantula out, you've got the 2 types. So knocking out that Joltik early on, I mean, Joe has yet to be in a position where he's attacked with Rainbow Force, and been 1 type away from the KO. So losing that Joltik early game hasn't slowed down Joe's game plan here. So Joe's doing all right. And once again, Reese needs energy in play. 140 HP Xerneas basically means 6 energy. But if you combine the Reverse Valley and the Fighting Fury Belt, that essentially counts as an energy, so he needs 5 energy in play. He's got 4, that's not enough. Oh, I'm lying to you, ladies and gentlemen. Xerneas has already got 20 damage on him. This will be enough. 4 energy is 80. Add the 20 base is 100. Add the Fighting Fury Belt Reverse Valley is 120. Minus the resistance is 100. Add the 20 already on Xerneas is 120. And that is enough to get the KO. Between Darkrai EX and Xerneas, our math skills, or math if you're American, are being tested to the limits in this game. And the weird thing is, for both of these decks, they're both kind of setup decks. Reese needs a whole bunch of energy on the field. Joe needs 2 energy attachments per Xerneas and a whole bunch of Pokemon on the field. So both players here are being put in positions where they need to get X on the board in order to put themselves in a position to return the KO. Now, there's quite a lot Joe needs this turn. He needs a Xerneas as a backup attacker, and he needs an EXP share or an energy. He could make do with either here, because he can attach this turn and next turn, and you've got to think he only needs 2 more Xerneas to win the game, 2 more prizes. And Reese has only got 2 prizes remaining, so if 2 Xerneas go down, Joe loses the game. So actually, EXP share's not that needed anymore. There's the energy, so now Joe's good. Oh, and a Sycamore for 7, and the high 5 as is customary. This is good. Joe, all he needs next turn is a Fairy Energy, and that Xerneas is ready to go. Question is, can he have enough Pokemon on the bench this turn? And there goes a Skyfield to widen his bench. He needs 7 Pokemon. 7 types, I should say. And he's only currently got 3. So he needs 4 different types of Pokemon here. And he's got a small deck. Does he have a Super Rod or something to put the Pokemon back in? Is it possible to get the KO here? I'm not 100% sure it is. He's got 4 types. He's only doing 130 here. That's not great. And we know that Reese just needs... Oh, he actually needs 2 energy here. Now, if he's got a Reverse Valley, that would be huge. Reverse Valley energy, that's enough to do 140 and get the KO. But then again, let's say Reese does get the KO. Joe just needs a Fairy Energy. He attaches a Fairy to Xerneas, gets the KO, and if Reese gets a KO this turn, can he get a KO next turn? He'll be losing both the energy and the Fighting Fury Belt. So Reese is going to need an energy and a Reverse Valley to get the KO here. He's used all his max elixir. He's not getting 2 energy on the board in one go. He needs a Reverse Valley. If he doesn't have a Reverse Valley, he might as well just scoop now. Because if he doesn't have a Reverse Valley, he doesn't get the KO. Oh, unless he plays a Lysander and KOs the Galvantula, which would have to be his play. Oh, and we see an EXP share from Reese. He's not put it down yet. But that would be a play for following turn. There we go. There it goes. So Reese needs a reverse Valley here. He's only at the moment doing 110, taking into account the resistance. He's got 5 energy, 100, 20 base. There's the Lysander. And he's actually bringing up the Volcanion. But the Volcanian's got a float stone on him. And he's not getting the KO. I'm not a fan of that play at all. I would have gone for the Galvantula. Because you KO the Galvantula, you go down to a single prize remaining, and then if and you're only losing a single energy because of the EXP share, and then you can try and kind of take your last KO here. And you're taking 2 types off the board. Reese still needs... Okay, I suppose next turn. But then next turn he needs a Lysander to KO the... And we're going to see the end here. So now next turn, we're going to need a Lysander for the KO from Reese. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it was a bad play. I'm saying I personally would have gone for the Galvantula. But I understand that what Reese is doing here. He's trying to use a double Lysander play. It's not the worst play ever. Not a bad play. But the other thing is, by taking out 2 types... you make the KO so much more difficult for Joe. Now, Joe's got 6 different types on the bench, which is enough to get the KO and set himself up for next turn. But the question really is, does Reese have a Lysander? And the entire game comes down to whether Reese has a Lysander. If he does, he brings up the Volcanion. He's doing more than enough damage. He's got the KO. He's got the win. He plays the Shaman. Has he got the Versus Seeker? If he hits it, he wins the game right here. He's got 2 and a Lysander. He's got 3 Versus Seeker and a Lysander. He Shamaned for 4 cards and hit 4 Lysander. He then brings up the Volcanion, gets the KO, and a thrilling game 2. I said I admitted it. Game 1 of this tournament was not the game we hoped it would be. It was not the thrill fest it may have been, but oh my goodness, game 2 made up for it in a beautiful manner. That, ladies and gentlemen, was spectacular. Congratulations to Reese on the brilliant win, and he proved me wrong. He had the double Lysander. He got ends to 1, but he had 4 outs to a Lysander. And I want to remind you what I've said on a number of occasions, ladies and gentlemen, that they have access to more than we do. He knew he had 4 outs to a Lysander in his deck. I didn't know that. So he had information that I did not have. So, wonderful win from Reese. Congratulations. You know the deal. There's a comment section. Use it. There's a like button. Use it. There's a comment section. Use it. I'm going to be back with another video tomorrow. We got daily videos for a couple of weeks. We are mixing in commentary games and we are mixing in my usual analysis, so don't worry. If you want the analysis games, they are coming back as well. And of course, by far the most important thing, look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.